Let's bring in Larry Elder. We welcome you back to the show. You're on your bus. You've been campaigning up and down this state, so that's why the camera might be a little bumpy.
Hopefully it's not a bumpy ride for your campaign, though.
Yes.
Hopefully that's not a metaphor for anything. So it's
hey, Elex, I'll handle the jokes here.
Yeah. Okay.
Leave it to him.
All right, we'll leave that to you. But let's get your reaction to that poll. Obviously, you like the second part of that, which shows you lapping the field in terms of your competition. The first part of it, though, is a bit troubling. This idea that the support for the Newsom no on recall is surging. That's in every poll that we've seen. We know that polls have been wrong in the past, but we also see a lot of Democrats turning out when it comes to the actual ballots. How do you change that equation in these final days and get Democrats and independents to vote for you?
My reaction to that poll is it's a snapshot. Democrats voted early. A lot of Republicans don't trust the process or are sitting on their ballots. So I expect there to be a surge over the next coming days. Also, there's going to be a bombshell story that I think is going to change the narrative. You know, I've been accused of not liking women because of some article I wrote 21 years ago and because of some false allegation that I denied. But there's a bombshell that just broke yesterday, Elex and Marla. Rose McGowan is the actress who claims that her career was ruined because she did not sleep with Harvey Weinstein, who, by the way, is facing a number of rape charges. Harvey Weinstein, according to Rose McGowan, the wife of Gavin Newsom, called Rose McGowan about 6 months before the story broke and said, on behalf of Harvey Weinstein's lawyer, how can I make you happy? How can I make this story go away? Now, I don't know whether it's true that Gavin Newsom's wife called on behalf of Harvey Weinstein's lawyer and tried to get Rose McGowan to back off her allegations 6 months before the allegations blew up. I don't know if it's true. All I know is that if that allegation were made about my significant other, that my significant other called Rose McGowan on behalf of Harvey Weinstein's lawyer and said, how can we make this story go away? How can I make you happy? CNN will be talking about it. The Washington Post will be talking about it. The New York Times will be talking about it. Politico will be talking about it. But right now, it's radio-free silence. Newsmax has asked me about it, and it was published in Real Clear Politics. Outside of that, the mainstream media doesn't give a damn. This is a double standard to which I've been subjected to the entire time I've been running, Elex and Marla, and it's unfair.
And this is something that Rose McGowan said during an interview with Dave Rubin. We have not seen much of a response from the Newsom campaign yet on that front, and it would be interesting to see how they respond to that. And we know that you have had some...
Can I also add that Rose McGowan has produced emails that were sent to her from Gavin Newsom's wife, suggesting that they were having some sort of correspondence. What in the world is Gavin Newsom's wife doing contacting Rose McGowan, who made serious allegations of sexual harassment, if not rape, against Harvey Weinstein, who currently is facing several charges of rape as we speak? Again, this would be a bombshell story if it were about Larry Elder, but all of a sudden, the same people that ran with the story about me not liking women, the New York Times, the Washington Post, CNN, Politico, don't seem to give a rip about this story. It is unfair. It's the kind of double standard to which I've been subjected the whole time I've been running.
Well, this is the second time that you've been on the Fox 11 special report at 7 o'clock, so we thank you for being with us tonight. With that said, do you think that you have been unfairly treated by the media? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, good Lord, yes. I mean, my goodness, just the other day in Venice at a homeless encampment, some white woman wearing a gorilla mask threw an egg at me. And if I had a D at the end of my name, they'd be talking about how this is hate crime and this is an example of systemic racism and all of that. I'm not one of those who plays the race card, but I'll give you another example. The New York Times the other day wrote a long piece about me, about Larry Elder. It was negative, did not mention my race, did not mention that when I win, I'll be the first black governor of California. Now, I've never played this race card angle. I've never said people ought to vote for me because I'm black or people should vote against me because I'm black. But on the very same page, there was a big article about, quote, the first female governor of New York, close quote. Now, she only became governor because Cuomo resigned, but they made a big deal out of her being the first female because she had a D at the end of her name. And in an article about me on the front page, the same front page, didn't even mention my race, let alone that I'd be the first black governor of California. It is, Elex and Marla, a double standard.
We wanted to bring up what you just mentioned, the situation in Venice the other day. It was despicable. You mentioned there was a woman in a gorilla mask. This woman threw an egg at you. She physically attacked your security detail. This is the video we're seeing there. Do you think this was a hate crime, and should she be prosecuted?
Well, certainly she should be prosecuted. And I've never been terribly keen on the whole concept of hate crime in the first place. I think a crime is a crime. I think more importantly, we ought to be wondering whether or not she's one of the 20,000 convicted felons that were released early under this governor, many of whom were violent offenders. We ought to be asking ourselves whether or not this person would even be on the streets if it weren't for soft on crime DAs like George Gascon of LA County, who was backed by Gavin Newsom, and who was appointed DA of San Francisco by Gavin Newsom. And George Gascon does not believe in bail. He believes in cashless bail. And maybe, just maybe, this woman, this criminal, might not even be on the streets if it weren't for soft on crime policies pushed by the LA County DA. And maybe she wouldn't be on the street at all if she's one of the 20,000 convicted felons who were released early by Gavin Newsom. I call this the intersection of homelessness and lawlessness. We have a rising problem of homelessness that Gavin Newsom seems incapable of fixing. When he ran for mayor in 2004, he said, in 10 years, I'm going to clean up the homeless problem in San Francisco. Marla, Elex, have you been to San Francisco recently? It's worse than ever. And he sat around for 8 years as Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom did and said, I have nothing to do. I offered a suggestion. How about fulfilling the campaign promise you made to people in San Francisco back in 2004?
Well, and we don't know who that woman is. We know that what she did was racist and wrong, and it'll be interesting to see in the days ahead if they're able to identify who that person is. Let's talk about election integrity, which is something that I know President Trump has talked about, something you've talked about. There's the Sacramento Bee writing about this. Larry Elder prepares for California recall loss with lawyers, voter fraud website. There's a campaign website that you've set up. We want to put that up on the screen, where you are encouraging people to let you know if they see anything wrong, so that your campaign can file lawsuits to fight that. Now that that's up, have you seen any examples of voter fraud? Are there any lawsuits that are coming?
We've gotten a bunch of phone calls from people who spotted suspicious things. We haven't filed any lawsuits yet, and I'm encouraging people, if they see or hear anything suspicious, to let us know. We've got a bunch of lawyers examining these claims, and if and when we find something, we're going to be filing lawsuits in a timely fashion.
Will you accept the results of the election on Tuesday, regardless of what they are?
Marla, I find it interesting. I get this question. I'm not offended by your question, but nobody ever asked Gavin Newsom, did he accept the election results of 2016? Hillary said that 2016, she referred to Donald Trump for 4 years as having stolen the election. Her word, not mine. She referred to Donald Trump as illegitimate. Her word, not mine. And 2/3 of Democrats falsely believe the Russians changed vote tallies. The Senate report found the Russians tried, but did not change a single vote tally, yet 2/3 of Democrats believe that. No one's ever asked Gavin Newsom, do you agree with Hillary that the election was stolen in 2016? Do you agree with Hillary that Donald Trump was illegitimate? Do you agree with 78% of Democrats who feel the 2016 election, the Russians changed the outcome, even though the Senate Intel report could not find one way or the other whether or not the Russians changed the outcome of the election? Yet, according to Gallup, according to Gallup, 78% of Democrats believe that the Russians changed the outcome of the election. But nobody seems to ask my opponent, Gavin Newsom, whether or not he agrees with Hillary.
Look, two wrongs don't make a right. I mean, I've personally talked about some of the problems on the far left in terms of admitting when the election is in fact legitimate, and there's clearly been problems on the far right as well. But isn't there some danger in this game? This idea that if I don't win, there's got to be cheating, and that questioning the legitimacy of an election, and you could win, and the other could be true, right? I mean, isn't there danger in that?
I'm happy to answer your question, but first I got to push back a little bit. Donald Trump's social media platforms have been shut down because he's, quote, been pushing the big lie, close quote, about the 2020 election. Hillary's platforms have not been shut down. Our Twitter's not been shut down. Facebook hasn't been shut down. Instagram hasn't been shut down. She said for 4 years, Donald Trump stole the election. For 4 years, she referred to Donald Trump as illegitimate, to the point where she's convinced 2/3 of Democrats falsely that the Russians changed vote tallies. Now, I just want a little consistency here. Now look, I believe that so many people are angry about Gavin Newsom because of the crime, because of the homelessness, because of the way he shut down schools, denying these kids a whole year of in-school education, and the kids were already backward. because of the fact that people are leaving California for the very first time. No matter what they do, there's going to be so many people who want Gavin Newsom recalled, who are going to vote yes on the recall. It won't matter what they do.
Okay, we're 4 days away, Larry. Your campaign has certainly shifted the dynamic in your life. We want to know, how has running changed you?
Well, I've gained 6 pounds and I've lost my voice. You know, I have a whole new respect, Marla, for politicians. I was never one of those on talk radio that demeaned politicians, that came up with funny names for them, because I always knew it was a tough gig. But this is very, very grueling, putting yourself out there, having your personal life raked over the coals, having things lied about you, twisted about you. And then every 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, depending upon the term of the office, there's a thumbs up or a thumbs down over how well you've done your job. It's a tough gig. I have a lot more respect for politicians than I did before, and I always did respect politicians.
I mean, you as a person, though, has it shaped you at all? I mean, because I know you've said before that you can never kind of go back, that this is going to change you forever. Right. How does this change you now and going forward?
Well, I've become a pretty prominent figure in California politics, a pretty prominent figure in California Republican politics, and I will still have that title no matter what happens on September the 14th. So that has changed me forever. But regarding the brutality of this, the way I was treated by the media, I'm not the least bit surprised. I've been following politics all my life. I've been commenting on politics and politicians all my life, so nothing has surprised me. And I do not regret 1 minute getting into this race, because I really believe I can fix some of the problems that I talked about. I was born and raised here. I'm from the inner city. I wasn't born on third base and thought I hit a triple like my opponent. My dad came here with 2 nickels to rub together and went from poverty to the middle class, started a little cafe. So I understand the problems that small restaurant owners have. I ran a business myself. I didn't go bankrupt. I didn't liquidate it. I met a payroll. I sold it. It kept going. So I know firsthand how to run a business. Many of these people sitting in Sacramento, Elex and Marla, have not so much as run a hot dog stand. Here they are passing rules and regulations that burden business creation, business owners, and burden employees. That's why people are leaving California for the very first time in our state's 170-year history, and I intend to reverse that.
Well, Larry, thank you so much for taking time. It's important to have a civil dialogue. Racism is wrong. Mm-hmm. Nobody should have to face that kind of attacks when they're out there on the campaign trail. It's important to be able to talk in a nonviolent way and have a real debate about the issues. We appreciate you coming on here, making time for us, and best of luck to you in the final days of the campaign trail. I'm sure I'll see you out there in the next few days.
Thank you, Larry.
Marla, Elex, I'll see you in Sacramento.
All right, thank you.